No, I got a computer in front of me. I'm looking someplace else. And I will accept a motion to start the Colmar Manor Town meeting on Tuesday, May 11th at 7:05. Their motion?
This is Councilmember Jackson. Okay, go ahead, Mendoza. I'll second. Go ahead.
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll make that motion stated.
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. This meeting is now in order. All right, our first order of business is to do a pledge of allegiance to the flag in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. Okay, so if we can now have a moment of silence, think about all of the different things that are going on in the world today and offer some blessings out to people who are suffering, families who are traumatized. And let's just take a moment and just blow some blessings upon them. And let's take another moment and think about all the things that we're grateful for, all the things and wonderful things that we do have in our life, particularly in this tragic time that we're in. There are so many things that we need to be grateful for and feel blessed about. So let's take a moment and think about that. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to move this agenda around a little bit. Does anybody have any objections to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, this agenda is accepted. But I'm going to move a few things around. We're waiting for Mr. Baton to get on the line to open up our constant yield hearing and our budget hearing. And so we're actually going to start up with a treat. Oh my God, this, Chief, are you going to come in?
Yes, I'll be there in just one moment.
You have the pledge?
Yes, I do have it.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so we have a treat, after we've gone through quite a bit of time without having any police. We finally got Chief Stone on, and now we have a Sergeant Coling. It's Charles Coling, but he said we should call him Sergeant Bob. So we're bringing him on. He's already been patrolling, which has been great, getting to know people in the community. So we're really excited to have him on. And so I'm going to do a formal swearing in for him now. And I don't know, I'm going to turn this just in case you can see it, but it will be on the YouTube video. So let's do the swearing in. Okay. I, Charles Cohen. Allen. Do swear. Or affirm and that I will support the Constitution of the United States. And that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland. And support the Constitution and laws thereof. And that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment. diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of police sergeant for the town of Colmar Manor, in Sturgis County, Maryland, according to the Constitution and the laws of this state and the charter of Colmar Manor, New York. And I offer you a handshake. Thank you. Let's put this in. Bring the lovely wife up. Anna? Anna, come on up next to your husband. Thank you, congratulations. Now, don't go anywhere because I have a quick job for you to do. So, our next order of business is that we are doing our next order of business, is our census drawing. So, you may or may not be aware, that we have been pushing to get the census out, get the census done. It's very important. Everybody should understand this is something that we need to get done. And so we have offered a raffle whereby we're giving out 20 gift cards to people who signed up for our survey. And we will be also giving out 4 fit watches. And so what I'm going to have Sergeant Bob do right now, if you want to come and get the box, you can take it over there, shake it up a little bit. All right, so we're going to start. We're doing 20 gift cards and 4 watches. So we're going to do 4 and then a watch, 4 and a watch, 4 and a watch. So the first one is going to be the $20. When you pull it out, you can look at the second page to get the name. You see the name? It's on the second page. If you don't have a name, give me the email address on the front. Mikado. Four two five what? Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Demenzo. Okay. Melissa. Men, MEN. Okay, in turn. And can you say the address too? Thirty-ninth Avenue. Marcelina Isidore. 3909 Newton Street. Next one for the watch. Say the first name again. Elena Rodriguez. 4011 Newton Street. Yeah, can you put the watch one on another chair so that I can speak it separate? Bird. It just says Miss Bird. Oh, Elizabeth Bird, okay. 4100 Newton Street. Wow, Newton Street's doing it. Gerber Palmer. 4314 Monroe. What's the Teresa Cortez, okay. 4015 Newton Street. No. Are you at 8? Teresa Parker. 35? Oh, 3503, 38th Avenue. Watch, drum roll. Place. 3640th place. Victoria Balazar. 3905 Lawrence. Thanks, Dan. Carlos Hernandez. A lot of Ward 1. 30 Escobar,
Escobar.
3405 41st Avenue.
3405 41st Avenue.
Betsy Palmer,
Betsy Palmer.
39th Place.
Are we at watch again?
What?
Is it? Okay.
Hello?
Mary Mulcher,
Mary Mulcher. Oh,
39th Place.
Miss Muchler. Miss Muchler, that's what it is.
Oh, so she skipped over that because I wasn't on yet?
There, Chief, yes. Miss Muchler will be happy, right?
I was wondering, I was like, so all these people are in?
Okay. Just give me the address. Just
I thought she was,
3409
all people that called in to
41st Avenue.
the town meeting and couldn't get in online or something, so she's, user 6. Oh, yeah, I couldn't get in through the VPN, so wouldn't connect me by
Yolanda
audio,
Smith.
it had video, and so I finally just came back out and just went in,
This is recording,
directly in
guys.
instead of through the VPN.
This is recording, Dan. Are you talking to, Chief?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So can you call separately? I'm listing out the names of the people who won the surveys. All right, go ahead. 3414 39th Avenue. Ana Diaz. 4317 Monroe Street. Okay. Abigail Diaz. 4016 Lawrence Street. Okay. It's the last one. Okay, so it's the last. You got 3 for the watch already, right? So this is the 4th for the watch, right? All right, great. Sandra Ramirez. 3504 43rd Avenue. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for doing that. I just have one more thing to do. Because I offered people a second chance, this group of people right here are going to get $10, $10 Walmart cards. Everybody else is gonna get the $20. You can leave them on the seats over there. That way I'll just pick them up when we get ready to go. Okay, awesome. So these are my second chances. I'm gonna give you these. They're marked second chances, so I know who they are. Put them in there, and I got one more watch to give away. So second chance people, I'm glad they did it last night. Got on last night, gave us a little bump. I'm glad you did it. So you all are going to get your Walmart cards. One of you or somebody is going to get another Fit Watch. Wellington, 4205 Lawrence Street. All right. Thank you so much, Sergeant Bob. I appreciate it. You can just leave the box right there. I'm happy to have you to stay as long as you like. Or if you need to go, you can leave as well. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. All right, thank you. We'll see you around. Okay, so getting that done, I want to just tell everybody, it's been really pretty exciting. We were like 13 out of 27 towns at the beginning of this month. We are now 5 and very close to 4 in ranking for the census right now in terms of the number of households that we have. We're at 66.8% at this time. So this bump doing this survey, this has been really great. Our yard signs have come in. Tomorrow the legs will come. So you're going to see, hopefully it'll be early tomorrow, but it might be on Thursday. But you'll see the signs start going up in the yards that said, I've done my part. I did the census. And so hopefully that'll give us another bump moving forward. If I have any residents that are listening or will listen to this tape, this funding is coming from a grant that we received through the state in order to help us boost up getting the census done. So we'll be still doing some more things because we had intended on actually having some events and working with people and getting the census done and doing some exciting things. And since it's hard for us to have events, we're doing it this way. For Memorial Day, we're planning to have a front yard cookout. And I will probably drive around town at that point too with the blowhorn, reminding everybody to go ahead and get their census done. It'll be the end of May. And the enumerators, I believe, will start coming in July. So they've given us some more time for self-responses, but it's really exciting to see people stepping up to the game. It takes about 10 minutes to do. So since we got through that, and I see that Mr. Baden is on the phone, I believe that we can go ahead and get started with our meeting. Our hearing. Are we doing budget first or constant yield first, Mr. Baden?
Constant yield.
Okay, and do you have a document to put up?
I think I can. Try that out here. Share screen. There we go. Do you want me to proceed on?
So I think I need a motion in order to open up the hearing for the constant yield tax rate.
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion as stated.
Okay, and second?
This is
I'll
Councilmember
second
Mendoza. I'll second.
You got that, Mr. Baden?
Is that Mendoza?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Baden. Explain to us what we're looking at.
Do we need to vote on that? We got a first and a second.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the hearing is now.
I'm sorry, Mayor, do you want to excuse Councilmember Blue? Unless she's on the phone now.
why don't we go back in the meeting and then we'll excuse her?
Okay,
Okay,
all right, all right, thank you.
So that was
Thank
a
you.
4-0 vote because Ms. Blue's not here?
yes.
Okay. All right, so what this is the constant yield tax rate hearing. In accordance with state law, we are required to have a hearing on the tax rate if we are going to exceed the constant yield rate. So with the town of Colmar Manor, we have two different taxes, one for commercial property, one for residential property. The commercial property is exempt from the constant yield tax rate hearing notice this year because we don't meet certain criteria, which I won't go into. But we are required to have a hearing on the non-commercial, which is also known as the residential real property tax rate. So the notice that you see in front of you is the notice that we are required to place in the paper, does not go in the classifieds, has to be a certain size and certain font. And so this is the notice that we placed, I don't remember the date, but it was well within the time frame that we were required to post it by. So I'll read through it and then I'll explain what it means. So it says the town of Colmar Manor, notice of a proposed non-commercial real property tax increase. The mayor and town council for the town of Colmar Manor proposes to increase non-commercial real property taxes. Tax year beginning July 1st, 2020, the estimated real property assessable base will increase by 6.6% from $77,521,593 to $82,623,309. The town of Colmar Manor maintains the current tax rate of 0.9784 cents per $100 of assessment. Real property tax revenue will increase by 6.6%, resulting in $49,915 of new real property tax revenues. In order to fully offset the effect of increasing assessments, the real property tax rate should be reduced to 0.9180, the constant yield tax rate. The town of Colmar Manor is considering not reducing its real property tax rate enough to fully offset increasing assessments. The town proposes to adopt a real property tax rate of 0.9684 per $100 of assessment. This tax rate is 5.5% higher than the constant yield tax and will generate $41,642 in additional property tax revenue. And then the rest of it just explains that there is a meeting tonight and how you can get into that meeting, which everyone, who's interested is in the meeting at this point. So this is the notice that we are required to put out. At the time that notice was put out, we were proposing to adopt a rate of 0.9684 as stated in item 4. After having subsequent meetings, the mayor and council currently, the budget as proposed has a rate of 0.960 instead of 0.9684. So it's actually a little less than what was put into the notice. The 0.960 rate is actually 4.6% higher than the constant yield rate. So there still is, a increase in property taxes for non-commercial properties, but it is not as high as what was originally advertised. The activities that funds or the budget that is funded will be presented in a separate hearing, which will be after the constant yield tax rate hearing. This hearing here is just so that the council and the residents can comment on the rates as proposed. So that is all we're required to state under the constant yield tax rate hearing. Would like to just comment that, as I stated earlier, there are two different tax rates. The commercial rate is being proposed at 90 cents, but we don't have to go through the constant yield process for that because we are exempt this year. Then I'll turn it back over to the mayor for council and public comment.
Okay, so if I can just be clear in looking at what we had advertised, if we can just replace the number. So in number one, where it says assessable base will increase 6.6% from blah blah to blah blah. What are those replacement numbers?
For item one, that will remain the same because the tax base increased from 6.6%. Current year it's 77,521,000.
Okay.
This year it's at 22,623.
Okay, so the current tax rate on number two, the number stays the same too. Real property tax revenues will increase by 6%, resulting in, so number two is basically saying if we kept our current rate the same, it would result in the $49,915, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so to fully offset that increase, real tax should be reduced to 0.9180. Okay, that stays the same. So then we get to number four. Tell me how the numbers change in number four.
So the town proposed to adopt a real property tax rate of 0.960. This
Yes.
tax rate is 4.6% higher than the constant yield rate. Will generate, I didn't do that calculation, but I can, 793,184, 758,471, $34,713.
And what was that rate again? Proposing a tax rate of what?
96 cents even, 0.960.
960.
Yep.
Okay. So the proposed rate, so the rate now is 97.84, but because of the assessed value is going up, that rate would generate more. We're still going to generate more, but not as much more as if we left the rate the same. Correct?
Correct. We would, if we kept the rate the same, it would generate the amount of revenue stated in item 2, which is $49,915. With the 96 cents, it reduces that increase down to $34,713. So about a 15,000 difference.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that clarity. Is there comment from the council or question?
I have no comment. This Councilmember Jackson.
All right. Is there, if there is anyone else on the line who is a resident, who has comment or thought, please raise your hand. Okay, hearing none, this hearing can be adjourned. And so is there a motion to adjourn the hearing of the constant yield tax rate?
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion as stated.
Okay, is there a second?
Councilmember Bowden, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All right, so we're back into our town meeting, but now we need to go into a budget hearing. So does anyone like to make a motion for us to go into a budget hearing?
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion to go into a budget hearing.
A second?
Councilmember Bowden, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so now we're in the budget hearing and I'll move it back over to Mr. Biden to give us some details on the changes to the budget relative to this year.
Let me see if I could pull up the copy of the budget. I know we got a lot of information in here.
Oh, is this what was sent out? Because it's sideways. You're not gonna be able to see it. I'll pull it up.
Should be able to, yeah, I should be able to turn it the right way once I get it up. Hold on 1 second. I should be okay. One more page, 2 more pages. So let me see here. But I'm going to move my screen a little bit. Okay, so this should be, I assume everyone can see this. So if anyone has their computer on, could they mute themselves? Because I'm getting a lot of feedback. All right, so what you have in front of you, this is a hearing for the fiscal year 2021 budget. The mayor and council have met on this a couple times, have discussed the budget. The draft that you see in front of you is draft number 3, which includes changes that have been made as we've worked our way through the budget. The budget is for the period July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2021, which is the town's fiscal year. The budget is set up so that the budget report you see in front of you is set up so that you have in the first column actual revenues or expenditures incurred for the first 9 months of the current year for July 2019 through March of 2020. You have your fiscal year 20 budget, which is the current year that we're in, as adjusted through March 30th or March 31st. And then the third column is what we are projecting to receive or expend for the entire fiscal year based on current estimates. And the fourth column is what is being proposed for fiscal year 2021. So I'll hit a couple of the more important items are the ones that have changed. I won't go through every item here, but the largest portion of revenue is our real property tax. You can see that we're projecting $940,121 this year, with the new rates that are being set that I discussed previously in the constant yield hearing for commercial property and real property or residential and commercial property. The amount of revenue that we are projecting to receive is $999,498. As you move on down through revenue, you can see the next largest item we come to is income tax. We're projecting that at $115,000. That is not a definitive number. We're not sure what the impact of the current unemployment and things like that and business closures will have on that rate. But we were originally thinking that this figure was going to come in higher than 115,000 and close to 140 or 45,000 in the current fiscal year. We've cut back that estimate to 115 and are keeping that estimate into fiscal year 21. As you move on down, you see a new item here, 2 items that are not currently in the fiscal year 20 budget that are anticipated revenue sources in fiscal year 21. The first is a daily bazaar. This is a bazaar that we are looking to start up that will generate additional revenues, on a property that the town owns up on Bladensburg Road. You'll also see a offsetting expenditure associated with that as we get into the general government expenditure accounts. We are looking to purchase, and this should say body camera, not body armor, so we'll need to make a correction there. But this is a grant for body cameras, $5,000. We are looking to move the police department forward with purchasing body cameras for all of our officers. It helps improve officer safety and, allows for recording of, arrests and that type of thing that will help in the investigation. And also if you need to go to court. So we're anticipating on getting $5,000 through a grant to help pay for that. I'm just going to make a note on my copy here. So I don't forget, change that to body camera. State aid for police grant state aid, that has decreased from $21,636 to $17,257. Over the last year, our police department had some vacancies, and part of the formula to come up with this or to receive this funding are the expenditures that you have on your police department, as well as the number of sworn officers. So we were down in both those categories. So you see a decrease in that revenue source. Most of these other ones are pretty much in line. The red light camera revenue, which is another larger source of revenue and a safety measure for the town, we're on the target for $130,000 in the current fiscal year. With the decrease of traffic flow on Bladensburg Road where the camera is, the current month's revenue actually came in a little lower than what we expected, but the current draft of the budget shows the revenue coming in at 130. So if businesses start opening back up and Bladensburg Road starts increasing their traffic flow, hopefully we'll be able to maintain the $130,000. The last revenue items you see here are related to police department, police citations, code enforcement violations, police reports, vehicle release fees, flagging fees. Slight increase on the citations. The other items are staying about the same. And then you get into your recreational incomes. If we could start back up our classes, for recreation, those types of things, that revenue will come in at or above where we anticipated. The large figure that you see here, account 4,700, it's unreserved fund balance. These are amounts carried forward from prior year's surplus. The 863,000 is a healthy position. We are anticipating using 159,000, almost 160,000 of that in the fiscal year budget to balance our budget. And of that amount, of the 160,000 we're using, 56,500 is related to capital outlay or one-time costs, and 103,000 are associated with operating costs. So the total budget, when you factor in all the revenue plus the unreserved balance, is $2,462,756. As you move into the next page, these are the expenditures. So of that $2,462,000, how are we going to spend that to provide municipal services to the residents? We break it down into departments. First department is the general government, which is the administrative staff and the senior van operation, those types of things. You can compare what we are projecting for the current year against moving forward in fiscal year 21.
Excuse me, Mr. Baden, can I ask you a couple questions about the revenue before we go more into the expenses?
Sure.
Okay, so remind me why we changed personal property down by 10,000. We're not making the budget number. Okay, so that's what you're projecting. You're projecting that we're not going to make that budget number. Yep.
That's the 80,000. When I look back at it, was probably a little higher than we should have budgeted. And then when I was comparing past years to the current year and looking forward, it looks like 70,000 is probably more of a realistic figure.
So even though through March it was already at 68, you didn't anticipate us getting anything more from personal property in the last quarter of the year?
The largest revenues we get are from the bigger businesses and the utilities. So CVS, Shoppers, which is now Compare Foods, Petco, Washington Gas. Those are our larger revenue sources, and we've already realized those. So, there may be some smaller ones coming in, but nothing, not any larger businesses that we've already collected from them. So I do anticipate some more coming in, but not of any large dollar volume.
Okay, and I just wanted to point out, this is not a question, I was going to point out to the audience, now or later, on 4160, you'll notice that it's frozen from what it was at March to what it is being projected. That is our hall rentals. And so since we're in the building, and so you'll notice that our budget for 21 is almost half of what we have had in the past, which would have been the 80,000 coming into the full year. And that is because we don't know with this uncertainty when we'll be able to start renting again. Hopefully it'll be sooner than later and our numbers can go up higher and we'll have a better revenue figure there. But I just wanted to point that out, that's a big hit on our budget right there. Now you may proceed. Thank you.
You're welcome. So as we get into the general government expenditures, the first item we come to, larger item, is the daily bazaar. These are the expenses related to that revenue figure of $36,750. So these are the costs of operating the daily bazaar. That's a new line item. Under election registration, our election has been postponed from fiscal year 20 into fiscal year 21. So that's why you see no projection here. And that 1,400 that was going to be used for the election, seeing it's postponed into fiscal year 21. The MEA grant lighting was it was a grant we received to do, put energy efficient lighting in the municipal building. That grant we will not receive that again next year. So that's why you see no amount there. We have a new expenditure of Port Town CDC. This is the Community Development Corporation, which the town has given to in the past. Didn't allocate any money in the last couple years, so you don't see any figures here. We're looking to reinstitute that donation during the year if the council deems fit to do. Two other new items are a welcome sign and an electronic sign.
Can you use the numbers when you say what line you're talking about?
Okay, so yep, I'll point to them and I'll also say it. Can you see my pointer? You all don't see my pointer then, do you?
I'm actually looking at the budget on my own computer because it's so small with the truncated. So the answer is no, I can't see your pointer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also looking at the budget on my computer.
All right, then I should stop pointing at the screen.
No, go right ahead. You never know. Somebody, go right ahead.
Because when the mayor was talking about certain lines, I was highlighting the numbers and showing them. I'll keep doing that in case it's helpful for someone. So under, and I will state the account number. So under account 5362, welcome signs, there's no budget for the current year. Next year, we're budgeting 2,000. These are for the signs that you see as you come into the town from both ends, from the Bladensburg Road side and the DC end of town. Now 5364, right underneath that, you have the electronic sign of 27,000. This will go in the same place as the sign that we, right behind the, I guess it's, I don't know what block that is. It's someone help me on that?
40th Avenue and Newark
40th
Road.
Avenue. So where you see the, right behind Compare Foods and right there on the corner, we're going to be putting in a nice new electronic sign during the year. So that is the $27,000 for that. So moving on down to some additional items, you see the payroll taxes and benefits, health insurance, life insurance. These are all based on current estimates and current staffing. Under 5550 senior van operations, this assumes full operation for the entire year. Hopefully by July 1st, we'll be up and running again. We have a lot of maintenance expenses in the current year. That's why you see $25,000 here. These are operating expenses under account 5590. 25,000, which covers the gas, the repairs, cell phones, uniforms, those types of items. We put out quite a bit in the repairs this year, so we reduced that down to 18,000, and the total senior van amount that you see of 56,509 again assumes a full year of operations. If we're not able to operate for the full year, that will be adjusted accordingly. The next major category is the 5600 group of accounts for code enforcement. And we share a code enforcement officer with Cottage City. Total cost estimated there is at $40,515. So the next major account department that we move into is Public Works, which are under the 5700 group of accounts. Not any major changes here. So you can see most of the items are relatively in line with the current year. Count 5745 Monroe Street Park upgrade. We had $1,000 allocated this year. That's the amount that we have to pay on our insurance policy relating to the fire damage to the equipment. As of now, I got an update today. The park is looking to be completed in mid-June. They said that there's a large backlog in the manufacturing for the equipment. Once the equipment's delivered, the installer is ready to go, but for the suppliers, there apparently is a backlog and shortage in the workforce is what I'm being told. So we are 5 to 6 weeks out before the equipment will be delivered to the installer, and then the installer will come out. So hopefully mid-June, they'll receive it and complete it by the end of June. But that $1,000 that we're paying this year is the town share of the insurance proceeds, the deductible for the insurance policy. Count 5785 trash containers, $4,500. These are the large refuse collection cans we purchased when we went to the large containers. I think it's about 10 years ago. We purchased some surplus containers, and those have all been given out at this point. We've got like 10 left. So we need to replenish those. So we put in $4,500 for that. The trash collection remains the same. We finish up the contract, a 5-year contract at the end of this fiscal year, and then we go on a month or a year-to-year contract after that, and we could terminate that with 90 days notice. So, that is based on the current contract. We're assuming that will go forward without any increase. Moving down to 5850 Community Center Town Hall. Largest item there is the debt service on the loan that was taken out to fund the municipal building. Current costs estimated at $236,400 for fiscal year 21. We are doing some improvements under account 5856 for AV upgrades and new cameras in the buildings for security and viewing purposes of $17,000. And under 5860 electric, you can see that we originally budgeted $29,100 in the current fiscal year for electric to the municipal building, estimating that to be down to $26,000. So a decrease based on the lighting upgrades that were done. And over a full year, we expect to experience an additional savings so that the total electric is projected at $23,000. Moving on to public safety. A lot of the figures in the projected column will be less in fiscal year 20 than 21 because of a short, we had some vacancies in the police department during the year. So, some of these figures are going to look like they've increased a lot, but if you compare it to the fiscal year 20 budget versus the projected budget, you'll see that they're more in line. Under count 5905, body cameras, as I stated on the revenue side, we are expecting to receive or putting in for a grant for $5,000 for the body cameras. The cost for the first year is projected to be $6,000, so the net cost to the town for those cameras, we're hoping to be $1,000. Right under that, you see account 5907, computer purchase at $6,000. We are anticipating purchasing 4 new computers for the police department in the current year. That's all the computers that we have in the department, so we will not need to upgrade any or purchase any new ones in fiscal year 21. Gas costs has increased mainly because of the vacancy. The $9,000 is based on full staffing in the police department. And as you go on down, pretty much, all the other ones are in line. Salaries, the $293,800 under account 5960 includes a chief, 3 officers, including a sergeant, and some overtime associated with the police department, and a full-time police clerk. So those are, the major, highlights for the police department. Last department we get to is the community center operations. Also includes the recreation department. Not a whole lot of change here, so we're funding the same items, same types of activities as we did in fiscal year 20. And when you come down to the last item on reserves under 6210, you see that figure at $703,939. So our reserves drops $160,000 at the beginning of the year, $560,000 from $863,937 that I showed you under the revenue side to $703,939, with $56,500 of that being for capital outlay purchases and $103,498 for operating costs. That is, an overview of the budget. I'll turn it back over to the mayor for council and public comment.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baden. I have a question. We reduced the hall rentals revenue, but I don't recall and it doesn't look like we did make any reduction in our expected expenses. So maybe we should proportionately make a change to that from the proportional change in the revenue. It can be discussed, but I'm right? We didn't change it, right?
Well, actually, as I was reading that off, I noticed that myself, and so I will look back at that and give a recommended adjustment.
Okay, okay. I don't have any other comments. Council, do you have any comments on the budget? Remember to unmute yourself if you're talking.
Mayor and Council, this is Councilmember Jackson. I don't have any comments. I'm just hoping that whoever's the newly elected council is on the call so they can see exactly how the budget works. Dan, you did a good job as far as explaining it, going through it. So whoever's on the call, hope he was able to follow it. We did work very hard on the trying to come to an agreement on the budget in our last work session. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I will also add, if anybody is looking at it, to note that for FY20 under projected, for everything that had happened and some things that we wanted extra things to do, we still had this surplus of 31,388. So our budgets have been very healthy. I don't think the most part our surplus has gone under 700,000, except I think or very, very close to, I guess you see here 690, is that 690? No, can't even see what that says. That's 894.
694, 137.
Right, so we haven't really moved into any territory below that. So for these years, I'm glad that we've had this healthy surplus. It is the reason why it's so important to manage a healthy surplus, because you have circumstances that come where you just don't know how you're going to get hit hard. And fortunately for this year, we've had this some money so that the knock on our taxes didn't have to be as bad as it would have had to been if we hadn't, or we had to start cutting services. I will also add that we anticipate some changes in that the county has allocated to us, I think it was 98,000, was it 89,000?
89.
$89,000 towards any cost that we have to expend related to COVID-19 costs. And that will help us in even with the food delivery, things, costs associated with that, and the things that, well, I'll talk to a little bit more about it after we come out of the budget hearing, but that, whatever money we're spending in those particular areas, it's a decent sum so that it won't be hitting you as taxpayers directly, not from the town. It may come in another way from federal, state, and county, but this is something that they're funding us with. And so I just want to let you guys know that opportunity is there to help us with things related to COVID-19. Any other comments, Council?
Yes, Mayor, this is Councilmember Jackson again. I'm looking at the general government expenditures, and I'm looking at, oh, where's my glasses? Line 5290, we have summer employment. I know that the county had sent letters out to all the young students that they will not be doing their county employment. So I was wondering, that's something, I don't think we're able to do it this year also, dealing with what's going on. So I know we still have it in there.
That's a very, very good point. I doubt seriously we'll be able to do it this year.
That's $1,000. That's there.
Right.
And also, I'm not even, I guess we'll case by case. I'm not even sure we'll be able to do National Night Out. But maybe, you never know.
We'll see. I wouldn't take that one out right now. We can just see what happens and what we what's going on at the time. I mean, we maybe come up with some genius ways in order to enjoy each other's company and learn things without actually being close to each other.
Yes, agree. Okay.
But yes, I don't see the summer employment being a possibility at this point. I mean, because even as we try to find ways to function in a new normal right now, because for anybody that's listening, I know some people feel like, oh, wow, 3 months and this should be all over, and it's not going to happen. And the sooner we learn to operate in the new normal for at least the year that we're probably going to have to do it, we just got to come up with some ingenious ways to still stay connected and working with each other, and so we can figure it out as we go along. I can hear myself from somewhere.
Okay, also, Mayor, the email says we're not going to be going to the Maryland Municipal League Conference this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost the number. That comes out of the
5090.
5090.
50. Yeah.
Right, right.
I'm looking for money, as you see.
Yes, that's right. Do your job. It's so many things that we forget about that we know it's just not going to happen. That came a little bit later after we had already done the first budget when they said it wasn't going to happen. But yeah, Dan, if you can make some recommended adjustments to that, we know that they're still going to do something. It's still going to cost us some money, but nowhere close to what we've been spending because there won't be any hotel.
Yeah, it's $99 for a 2-day online conference on June 29th and June 30th.
Okay.
And that only, that would affect, I guess, increase our surplus because, hopefully in fiscal year 21 that we'll be able to do it. So I think we should leave the 15,000 in 21. We could adjust the projected fiscal year 20 down, which, looks like it should give us about another 10 grand in surplus by the end of the year. That should drop down to the, drop into the.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to see the surplus increase as well as if we could have lowered it. Yep. Anybody, anything else? So I will say this budget is open. I would highly suggest if you have any comments, any suggestions, you can submit them to me. I'm at sbarrow@colmarmanor.org. And send me an email. You want to send a text, 240-498-5466. We do have a plan. We want to introduce this budget today, but this budget can still be changed based on comments or interest or suggestions. So I encourage you to review it through as soon as possible. Our intention is to execute a vote to adopt it at our June meeting, which will be the second Tuesday in June, when we'll actually be adopting the budget. So it's open for comment. And unless there's some additional comments, I would look forward to a motion to introduce this budget as ordinance. Do you have an ordinance number?
We do not, and that would be done in the regular meeting, not during the hearing.
Oh, okay.
Mayor,
All right. So when we come out, we can go. Okay, so when we come out, we'll introduce the budget. Gotcha.
I'm sorry, Mayor and Council. I just want to say for the record that we did, the Mayor and Council put some money in a budget for fiscal year 21 for the Port Town CDC, but that is there just in case we still want to see some changes and see some growth in the Port Town CDC. It is needed, but we put that amount in there just in case, just for the record.
And we're all on the same page, unless there's some changes, that line item might not get spent. Okay, anything on the budget? Okay, so we're gonna close out the hearing and go back into our regular meeting. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Before you do that, can I make one other comment?
Yes,
If we are not going to set the rate of the constant yield at this meeting, we need to state when the next time we will be discussing the budget and the tax rate so that people will be aware of that. So I don't know if that's June 2nd. I think that's our next scheduled meeting. I don't know if you're planning on having any other meeting to discuss the budget prior to the work session on June 2nd. If not, then I would suggest that we set June 2nd as the next date the tax rate and the budget will be considered.
okay, so, do we, in terms of being in the hearing right now, if we can set the tax rate. I mean, Mr. Barrs texted me that I need to introduce the budget, but we don't adopt it until June. So
Right.
does that include also voting on the tax rate or waiting till June to actually finalize the tax rate?
The tax rate is stated in the budget ordinance, and we don't really have that ordinance in front of us. So, I guess you could introduce it with an ordinance to be determined, but the actual notice that you have to give is supposed to be during the actual hearing for the constant yield. So, if you didn't intend on setting the rate tonight, then you should state when the next date you are going to consider it.
So you're saying that we should have voted on the rate in the constant yield hearing, but I don't vote on the budget in the budget hearing?
I wouldn't vote on either one tonight. We never do. We could have introduced the budget before we discussed it, which probably would have been appropriate. We don't set the tax rates until the June, normally until the June town meeting. We set the rate and then we approve the budget. Because by then we will, have another month to look at it and, decide what we want to do. I was just stating that under the constant yield tax rate provisions, if you don't set your rate at the public hearing, then you need to state when that will be discussed again.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem setting the rate at the June meeting because it will be the final rate in case we made some other changes.
Yep.
But I do want to introduce the budget.
Okay.
Okay.
So the budget could get introduced at the meeting, and then, I don't know if you want to retroactively, say, during while we're still in the budget hearing, state that the constant yield and the tax rates will be next discussed on X date, which I assume is June 2nd.
Is it June 2nd? No, oh, you mean in terms of the work session?
Yes, because we'll be discussing the budget again, I assume, at that meeting and making sure the final adjustments are made before the 9th.
Okay, so for the record, we will be discussing the rates at the work session and whatever, and based on any changes and to this budget and comments that we get.
Okay.
Okay, so I've done that now. So
Okay.
that that's known that we will have a conversation, whether it's to change things or whether to keep things the same, but we'll just have some kind of conversation. So now we can adjourn the budget?
Yep.
Okay. So,
I'll make that motion to adjourn the budget, fiscal year 2021.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Councilmember Jackson, I'm sorry.
Okay, great, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Come off of mute.
Aye. Aye.
Tracy, you gotta take them off mute. I'm sorry, Chief. Okay, so we're back inside of a meeting, and now is the opportunity to introduce the budget. So is there a motion to introduce this budget for 2020-21?
Oh. Councilmember Bowden. Oh, I make that motion.
Okay,
Yeah, I accept that question.
there's a second?
Councilmember Mendoza, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Okay, and the mayor votes aye. We will further discuss the budget at the work session as necessary. Please, again, anybody, off your comments if you have any. So we're back in our meeting, and we are now at a point for me to report on the work session. I will report out from the work session. We've had a conversation about an abatement ordinance that will allow us to act more quickly in removing items that people may have left on the streets, particularly if it was related to now where Bates, well, we're waiting for Bates to come back and doing bulk trash pickup. As anybody, if you don't know it, try to communicate it a few times, but right now, Bates is not doing bulk pickup. So please don't put items out for bulk. If you're calling them as you would, they would tell you that they're not. However, if people continue to put them out, we do want to update our ordinance so that we can abate these items. In abatement, what we do is we charge it back to whomever the household is that we've had to abate. So what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at our current abatement ordinance and updating it to allow us to further do this. We had significant conversation around ordinance 04-2020 noise ordinance. We put a lot of work into this over a period of time. We've had a couple of residents to help us out with the different ordinances, and we may still be making more changes to it as we hear from people. We will have a public hearing on it after we've introduced it, so that's likely going to be at the June 14th, it's not June 9th meeting. Likely that we'll also have a public hearing there to actually discuss the noise ordinance. So even if we're actually on Webex, I hope that you guys will join in so that we can have a good conversation about how to best deal with noise issues. We talked about community development block grant. That is a grant that comes from the federal government. It's been coming to us through Prince George's County. And it's for a multitude of different things. We've used it often for street work. And we also used parts of it in financing or paying for this building. And so we have been using Prince George's County, but Prince George's County needs us to agree to allow them to use our numbers in order for them to be able to actually get the funds. And as you know, people say it all the time, that Prince George's County is one of the wealthiest minority counties in the country. But there's lots of us different municipalities that don't have that level of wealth. And so we have to sign on for them to be able to get the money. It's a catch-22. We're not big enough to do it ourselves. So we need to likely be signed on to somebody in order for us to access that money. We talked about the enterprise rezoning, which is something that allows, it's a zone that the state has created, which allows a business, if they're bringing in new people, to get a credit for those new people. And it also allows for a property owner of a commercial property to get a discount or credit on their taxes if they improve the property, depending on what the improvements are to the property. So being in that zone allows our business people to do that. We also, we did adjourn as a committee of the whole to talk about the budget during that meeting. We excused Councilmember Bowden. We had a conversation about hazard pay as it relates to the circumstances that we're dealing with. We'll have further conversation tonight. We talked about the census and what our status was on the census. We talked about Memorial Day, front yard cookout. We talked about our electronic sign and how soon, what the status of that was, as Mr. Baton just explained. I think a bit, no, he was talking about the park. But as to whether we're going to get the electric sign in this year or is it going to be next year, Mr. Baton indicated that it would be next year. We talked about our food distributions and where we can get it and what we're doing with the food distribution. So that was our work session report. And so I will go from there and giving my report because that is largely what we've been doing over the last few weeks. We've been fortunate enough in working with Ladensburg to get food from the Capital Area Food Bank. And for, I think, 3 weeks in a row. So we've been able to distribute 4 weeks in a row. They're at the end of their work there. So we're still trying to reconnect with the Capital Area Food Bank so that we can continue getting the food every week, giving out at least 60 to 80 boxes of food is what we've been able to offer. We've also been able to do it contact free so that employees are not in contact with the people. They come through the side door, grab their box and go, and we have no contact at all. They stay separated outside. Everybody has their mask. Everybody's 6 feet apart, and it doesn't take a whole lot of manpower to make it happen. We're just fortunate that we have this really big building. So that's been really great. But we've also gotten food from Jolene Ivy has gotten us connected with the World Central Kitchen. World Central Kitchen, as you know, if you may have heard, a lot of chefs, and some famous ones, have come together and worked with a lot of different restaurants in order to bring individual meals to people. And so Jolene Ivy has gotten that hooked up. We're trying to get them to ramp up. We've only been doing that for like almost 2 weeks. I think we get some more tomorrow. We were hoping to get 100 on Monday, but we only got 60. But we're able to get them out. Really nice meals, well cooked, and we've definitely been feeding the seniors. And what's in the bowl is probably enough for at least for 2 meals. And so I talked to Delegate Julian Ivy to see if, as he's also a part of the sponsorship up here hosting this, if we can get more. And so at first they thought they could, and so we're waiting to see because it's really great for the seniors. It makes their life easier. Some of them don't want food cooked by other people, but about half of them do, and we're able to supply many to one household, so I'm happy about that. We're also got Shabak back up, where we've got some food from Shabak. We expect to get more on Thursday, and hopefully every week we'll have more food. So we have a good list of people, who are the regular people who come on a regular basis. So we know who they are. We know we're hearing more on the need. I was really happy. I got a text from Mayor Lopez today because in Brentwood, I guess they're collecting names too, but we got 3 residents that now know they don't live in Brentwood. So she sent me over the names of 3 people who had contacted them in need. And we were able to distribute them, compare certificates today. So they could go, and they came. So I was really happy about that. We also been collecting specific information about those who are in need, so that we can actually provide what they need and get them where they want to go. Our resident, Monica, I can't say her name right now. Steiner, I think, and Doretha Epps have been working on helping to get mothers and young children, mostly mothers with babies, young infants, Pampers and baby food and those kind of things. So she put up on she put up on Amazon a wish list where people can actually go onto the wish list and buy the item, and then it's shipped here. So we've already started getting in formula and diapers and some other little kit things, and we don't even know where to come from, but I thank Monica for putting that effort into it in order to get it done. So we just have to work out a distribution methodology at this point, because we're starting to gather a few things there. We got the food distribution kind of down, so we need to figure out how to get this down. So other than that, there's conference calls all the time, and if you're listening to me and not necessarily getting opportunity to listen to the county executive or the governor, they have really been trying to do a really, really big job of keeping us informed and trying to obtain the things that are needed. The hospitals have been the most important thing, to make sure that our hospitals are up to snuff in order for the number of people that might wind up going there. So now they've turned their focus, while they feel like, they're moving in the right direction with the hospitals, they turned their focus on testing. And as you may have heard, the governor got a lot of tests from South Korea, and thankful to his wife, who had a great relationship with people there. And so they're trying to ramp up testing. I have sent out a message about contact tracing. They are hiring people for contact tracing. So if you are the type who are, you have to be empathetic in the people that you're speaking to, because usually they're not well. And so if you're that type of person who can be very organized, it's not a job that you have to go out. You actually can work the job at home, from what I understand. So if you're interested, reach out. And if you're on our email list, you should have gotten the notice about the jobs that are becoming available. So they're just starting to ramp up contact tracing. They have not been doing it. And that's a problem, because that's what is allowing the spread to move faster, because we're not getting the people who've been around people to say, hey, you've been around this person quite a bit. You need to also isolate, even though you're not sick. So there's many conference calls beyond. There's the governors, the governor does one for all the secretaries, the county executive does one with all her departments. Mayor Bloomberg has a call where it's a big call with all the mayors all across the country and talking about different issues. And a lot of it is listening to other mayors and what they're going through. And it's very informative of his experience. So there's a lot of time that's going into those kind of things. And that's my report. Pretty much a lot going on right now. Pretty much. Oh, we're also trying to work on helping with the unemployment. I have been in contact with the state officials. They actually had a testimony. They had a hearing today. I wasn't able to attend the hearing, but my understanding on a call from the county that when they set up the hearing, they thought they might get like 250 people wanting to testify. Turned out they got 1,200 people who wanted to testify. So the meeting ran from 1 o'clock. It's still going on right now. They're planning the meeting to go from 1 o'clock this afternoon to 10 o'clock tonight, to hear what people are saying. There are a lot of people in a lot of pain because they have not gotten their unemployment, and it's very complicated. It hasn't, the way the system is working isn't ideal. And so that's happening too, in trying to help people who are dealing with this unemployment issues and connecting them to the right places. And that's my report. Thank you very much. And so I will now ask if someone would like to excuse Councilmember Blue from the meeting.
I'll make that motion. This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make a motion to excuse Councilmember Blue from the town meeting, May 11, 2020.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it. Councilmember
Okay.
Bowden.
I'm going to call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Here, aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Okay, the mayor votes aye. Okay, next item will be ward reports. Councilmember Bowden.
Oh, no, no report at this time.
All right, if you hear of anybody who need help, or you feel like we should be reaching out to, please call up to the town hall, give out that information of what's going on in your ward, up close and personal. So Ward 3, Ward 3.
Yes, good evening. Just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that's on the line. Happy Mother's Day to the mayor and Councilmember Bowden and Mendoza. Happy Mother's Day. Also,
Thank you.
today, you're welcome. Today is a bittersweet day because I actually had it all planned in my head. This will be my last meeting. I had it all planned out. I had my family coming. We were gonna have food. I was so excited. But life happens, and you're stuck with me for about a couple more months. And so I'm honored to serve. Also, just want to say that Prince George's County has emergency rental assistance program, which will be provided up to $1,800, which is a month for 3 months. So if someone is in need of a rental assistance, they can call 301-864-7161. Also, I just want to give a shout out to our staff. I know they're working like remote or doing things, but they're still really involved in what's going on in the town. So I just want to thank them for just continuing to support the residents. Renee Watts does a wonderful job of calling the seniors once a week to see what their needs are. If you all have not received any call from her and it may be something that you need, please call Renee Watts at 301-277-4920. I did receive some calls and an email from some seniors just saying thank you for her just checking on them. Also, there's a senior call check that the seniors can call, and that number is 1-866-50-CHECK, and they'll check in on the seniors if you need some help and assistance. Ward 3 last month lost a dear resident. She was very dear to me. Actually, she was one of the people that I really first met when I came in town and got involved. I met her also with Delegate Fennell and Graciela, and they got me, her name was Brenda Lanton. They got me involved within the community when I first stepped foot in the town of Colmar Manor. Brenda Lanton was very involved with our recreation, and she passed away. And just wanted to let the Lanton family know that the town is here for you. I am going to miss her. I always look forward to seeing her over at Juliet's house for our eggnog in the garden and having conversations with her and her husband. But she was very active in the town for many of years, and with her and others is the reason why I really got involved in the community. And just want to say, be safe, wear your mask, and wash your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question for you. This rent support, what else do you know? Because I hadn't heard about this.
Okay, so this is for Prince George's County Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So you can either go 211, and they were allowed certain funds, I guess, from the governor, from the state. And what they're doing is people that can't pay their mortgage, because they're laid off or hours got cut or whatever, they'll pay up to $1,800 a month, but for the first 3 months. And I do know it's like first come, first served. So this went out, I think, was yesterday. So if someone is in need or assistance, there are other assistants. I do encourage people not only just to go to the Prince George's rental assistant, then your bank may be able to work with you. There are some churches that's willing to work with residents as far as I've heard they pay people rent because they know the impact of this happening. And I'm glad I said churches because I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. and Mrs. K. They made face masks and they put them on their front porch. And these were free face masks to the community, and we really appreciate it. I try my best to shout out to everybody that's doing something positive in the community every month. So that's it. Mayor, I'll email you, Mayor.
Okay, all right, and that was 301-864-7161?
And you also can go, let me go, 301-864-7161, and you also can go 211.
Okay, and is it a loan or a grant?
I think it's a grant. It didn't say anything about paying back. This money was given to Prince George's County. It's emergency assistance.
Okay, it must be coming out of the care package somewhere, just like they allocated us money as a town.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe you're right on that one. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for all that information. Ward 4?
Nothing right now on the Ward 4 end.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so now we have a treasurer's report from Mr. Baden.
Let me
Did
work
you
my
send
way
it?
back. Yeah, I did send it. And I got a copy here. I should be able to share. Settings. One second. Minimize this. Financials. Boom. Share. There we go. All right, so this is a copy of the April Treasurer's Report for the first 10 months of the current fiscal year from July 2019 through April of 2020. We've got 2 months left in the year. You can see the total revenues to date, total budget, and then the variance between the two for the 10 months. Went through a lot of the figures earlier, so a lot of them will when we discuss the budget, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those. You can see the total revenue for the 10-month period at the bottom of the page. The first page is $1,355,746. On the expenditure side, we had total general government expenditures of $273,020. Payroll taxes, health insurance, life, workers' comp of $65,059. Senior van operations of $52,656. Enforcement $25,509. Public works $200,648. Community center $255,451. Public safety of $231,950, an additional $8,345 when we had a joint chief, and community center operations of $65,727 gives us total expenditures of $1,178,000, and the revenue is greater than expenditures at this point by $77,376. To move into the end of the year, you'll start seeing that surplus decrease as most of our larger revenue sources have already been recognized. The last page of the report is the balance sheet. See on the balance sheet state as of April 30th, we had total cash and checking accounts of $165,693. We have investments in the Maryland Local Government Investment Pool of $806,538. Some other minor asset accounts. We have a small accounts payable balance of $1,247. Some payroll liabilities of $3,497. And then our fund balance carry forward is $832,338, and the net income so far this year is $177,376. Quick overview of the April report, and ask you to accept it as presented.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the Treasurer's Report, April 20th, 20?
I'll make that motion to accept the treasurer's report. This is Councilmember Jackson.
Is there a second?
This is
Am I hearing me?
Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second.
Am I hearing me from there? Because I can hear me. Is it, it's not in there either? Where am I coming from? Oh.
Is that second by Mendoza?
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion? So I know it's somewhere, the devil's in the details somewhere, but I'm listening at, that we have $177,378 surplus at the moment. But it's gonna go all the way down to 50,000 or 38,000 by the end of June.
If the revenues and expenditures come in as shown on the budget report, yes. And that makes sense, it makes sense because our larger revenue sources are real property tax, the majority of the income tax, highway users. A lot of that has already come in. We're also not going to see any more rental income. The red light cameras down. So it's not uncommon for us to be in this position, and that the expenditures will be more than revenues for June and July, or May and June. So I would, that is in line with what we normally see.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing now, call for a vote. Ward 1. Absent. Ward 2. Ward 3.
Aye.
Wait a minute, did I get Ward 2? Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Okay, great. Mayor votes aye, so we can accept this treasurer's report. Thank you, Mr. Baton.
You're welcome.
All right, next item is the police report.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For anyone who's interested in following along or looking at it later, the police report, as well as the code enforcement information, is available online at colmarmanor.org. For the month of April, there were 8 police reports written in the town of Colmar Manor. 3 were for theft from autos at the shopping center. That compares to 3 from last month and 7 from the month of February. So we had a bad month in February, got a little bit better under control, and hopefully will improve. We also had a shoplifting reported at a business in the shopping center. We had 2 deaths reported in the town of Colmar Manor. Both were of natural causes. We had 2 domestic-related incidents that resulted in police reports. One was a domestic that included some vandalism to property, and the second included a minor assault with a handgun arrest. And the handgun was not used as part of the assault or in the domestic, but the person was not supposed to be in possession of a firearm, so they were arrested. Notably is that there was no more serious reports in the town to include robberies, homicides, serious assaults, etc. That's a good thing. As everyone is aware, the COVID-19 health emergency has kind of changed everything that the town does, including the police department. It's kind of different in Colmar Manor business-wise in that just about all of our businesses are essential, mostly food-related, but all are limited to carry out. Most are open, but there's limited business. Almost all of the activities at Town Hall, all of our special events have been canceled. That's given us some time to assist with other town activities, in particular the food distribution, whether it be going to pick up the food or help here at the Town Hall with the distribution, or probably most importantly is taking out to those that either can't get out or shouldn't get out because of circumstances where they don't want to be exposed to the elements. Earlier tonight, we were fortunate to have Sergeant Cowling sworn in. Sergeant Cowling comes to us from, recently retired from the Bladensburg Police Department after 32 years. He's a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. He has command staff experience, investigative experience, both criminal, internal, and employee background. I think most importantly, I know him, and I know he's not one who shies away from writing reports, making arrests, or traffic stops or citations when needed. And even more importantly, I think we share the same community policing philosophy, and that it's not just to be out there chasing bad guys, but you have to get to know both your residential and your commercial communities. And it's important to deal with the quality of life issues such as loud music and parking, which we'll be jumping into in the very near future. That's my report for the evening. Again, it's online.
All right. Is there a motion to accept the chief's report?
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion to accept the police report.
Is there a second?
I'll
This
second
is
it.
Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second.
Okay, either one. Any discussion?
Yes,
I want to
this is
say,
Councilmember Jack.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go, Mayor. I forgot
Well,
you.
I was going to say that I was really happy to see Sergeant Bob on the street. People are happy to see a police car driving around town. I even almost forgot, I'm always in the town hall late at night and I'm sitting up here and I heard somebody come in. I'm like, who's that? Who's that? But it was him. He was coming in. He didn't stay long. He went right back out on the street and I saw him rolling around when I left. So I'm really, really happy. I want to thank you, Chief, for putting the effort in. We look forward to a full staff, but it helps to comfort people when they know that you guys are around. So thank you for bringing him in and thank him for being out there for me. All right, anybody? Go ahead, Councilmember Jackson.
Oh, yes, this is Councilmember Jackson. I just want to welcome Sergeant Bob to the town of Colmar Manor. We're happy that you're here. Chief, I have a question that one of my residents brought to I hear it too. We have these little four-wheelers that ride through the town a lot. I'm not sure what they're called, little mini bikes or whatever. And my question, sometimes I'm here working during the day, and I'm like, why don't you go to the ball park, when no one's there? But apparently that's some place they can't ride either. So I don't know if you were aware of it or you're getting complaints about it, or they're just contacting the council person. Just wanted to know where we are. I don't want nobody. I mean, they're two like little, I don't even know the name, but they like little motorcycles, but they're not motorcycles.
Yes.
and they
We
ride up
have-
and down the street. And they ride on my street a lot. And I thought maybe because I didn't have any speed bumps, I went outside. I said, Dad, I do have a speed bump. So I don't know. Just wanted to know if is it just a couple people complaining about it, or are you all aware, or something that we can talk to the individuals with it?
Definitely aware of it and in the process of identifying where they're at. And as we increase the staffing, with most recently with Sergeant Bob and then another one coming in the very near future, we'll be able to address it more readily. They're not allowed up on the park property, so they kind of get chased around a little bit. And it's really a no pursuit policy. But as we get better staffed, we'll be able to determine exactly where they live and hopefully make it discreet.
Up on the park part, and I know it's parking planning, but it's so much fill up there. They can really utilize their, I mean, I know it's a hobby. It's something, I know people like it. I know my kids say, Mom, you're just getting old. But when you're here trying to work during a day, it's annoying. So I just so I'm glad that you are aware of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And a part of our noise ordinance is going to include them not being allowed in the residential area. So, you know, that'll give us some meat on the bone, if you will, for moving them around. I agree with you 100%. It is so annoying. I mean, in the middle of the day and just, you know. So,
We have so many people that's working from home now. And we also have the students. They're trying to do their lesson from home. And I don't think the people attending, they realize that. I think they like to ride, whatever it is, motorcycle, whatever it is.
they're not thinking about anybody else.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, exactly.
They're not thinking about it. They're only thinking about themselves and what they want to be doing. Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna call for a vote. Ward 1, absent. Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Okay, and the mayor votes aye. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is about approving some minutes. However, the minutes that are listed here are not the ones that I had. Oh, here they go. I don't know how these got named here, but the minutes that Abigail sent us, we're only going to do the town meeting. So, I mean, and she sent it a while ago, so hopefully everybody got a chance to read over them, which was November 12th, February 11th, March 10th, and April 14th. So I got March 10th, April 14th. November 12th is on here. I did not see any December. Let's see, April 14th, March 10th. So I didn't see any December or January, and February is missing on here, but we did get February. So can I get a motion to accept the change in this agenda to exclude December 10th and January 14th for approval of minutes before we actually go in to make any approvals, and to add February 11th on the agenda?
Okay, Mayor, did you get, she also sent November the 5th. And,
I mean, that's a work
April-
session. I'm just looking at the town meetings. That was a work
Oh, the
session.
town meeting. Okay. Well, I'll make that motion and state it.
Okay, is there a second? Okay,
I'll
is there any?
second
Okay, any opposition to just changing the agenda to get it the way it's supposed to be? Okay, with no opposition, Mr. Baden, can you alter making those changes
Yep.
All right. And so, is there a motion to approve the minutes for November 12th, February 11th, March 10th, and April 14th?
I'll make that motion stated. Councilmember Jackson.
And
I'll
is,
second Councilmember Mendoza.
okay. So, I just had like two things. We try to remember where they were at this point. Wow, I meant to mark it on here. Well, in here somewhere, here it is, on November the 12th, under the Ward 1 report, it says ECO, and it's spelled ECHO instead of ECO, which is ECO. So we can just make that minor change. And then on, let's see,
What was the date of that minutes?
November the 12th. And it's
So
under the
11,
Ward
12,
1.
20, change Eco Farms.
Yes. And then on February 11th, where it has compare food gas, Mr. Lutz gave an introduction to owners of Compare Food. They gave an introduction of their store. Okay, so he introduced them to us. It wasn't that he gave an introduction to the owners. He introduced them to us. So that's it.
And Mayor, I just had one change, and I had already emailed back the changes, and maybe I'm looking at the old one. I think on the reports they have me as Vivian L. Jackson, and
She said she changed that.
maybe I'm looking. Yes, she did email me. Just didn't know which report you all were looking at. So.
Okay, I didn't see any changes. This is the only, these documents I'm looking at, it's the only ones I got from her except the other email, which has the work sessions on it. But if we can make sure the changed one is what goes in the record, great. All right, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1, absent. Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
All right, so the mayor votes aye. All right, so now what we want to do, we had some discussion. You guys have had a chance to read over what was the sound ordinance from last week. And we would like to introduce this ordinance. I'm going to let Mr. Barr do an overview. I did have a conversation with him today about some of the things that I felt could be changed in the ordinance, particularly around using a decimal as a total base, but focusing more on the individual items as we had discussed in our previous meeting. So I'll just let him have a conversation. I would still like to introduce the ordinance. It's open for changes. We have to introduce it before we can actually go ahead and publish a hearing so we can bring people in and continue to make changes. And we can continue if there's any changes that need to be made at the work session in June before the hearing in July. But whatever we have, the hearing in June. But whatever we have, once we introduce it, it can go on our website, and then we can start getting comments from people even before the hearing. So, Mr. Barr, you want to summarize?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. There were a lot of changes that I made in the initial ordinance after speaking with you and getting a better idea as to what was the interest of the mayor and council in limiting noise in the town, and exactly how did you want the ordinance to work. One of the first things we did was to modify the ordinance. So we're looking mostly at specific actions and noises by specific noise-making instrumentality. Loud mufflers, loud engines, loud lawn equipment, and similar devices and situations. And because of that, I removed a lot of the decibel meter readings and findings, which would be necessary to a violation to exist. And what we have instead is an ordinance which says if you can hear it from the property line or a distance of so many feet from the property line, then there may be a violation, and the town officer charged with enforcement of the um, particular sound regulation can further move on the matter. But a second violation, pardon, not a second violation, a second complaint is necessary in order to issue a citation. So that if we have a noisy situation in the town and the code enforcement officer or the or a police officer of the town or some other party charged with by the chief of police with enforcement of the ordinance, they can go issue a violation of the ordinance, but they can't issue a uh, civil violation unless a similar violation occurs at that particular property within 25 hours. And I chose 25 hours, not arbitrarily, because I figured if someone was making noise in the morning, then maybe they'd be making noise the next morning within the 24-hour period. So I put down 25 hours. It's the kind of thing where somebody has a weekend party and that party continues over a 2-day period. Now, the ordinance as drafted also provides that if you're going to violate the ordinance and you're found in violation, it has to be um, Sunday through Thursday after 10 o'clock or before or after 11 o'clock, I believe. I chose those hours, 10 and 11, I believe, for violations on weekends. Again, the major changes from what you saw at the work session involve taking out some phraseology that somehow crept into the ordinance that didn't make sense, and using decibel ratings from sound meters and basing the violation on what could be heard from a property line, and also providing that there had to be at least 2 violations in a 1-day period for there to be a civil citation issued. And I think that's the best way to describe what's in this ordinance.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, so,
No,
go ahead.
no, I didn't. I just saying he'd already stated he was taking the decimals out of it. No questions at this time.
Okay, so, it's gonna look different from the one that we got last week, but, we still have an opportunity after introduction to still look at it and review it and see if there's other things that we want to go. So is there a motion for us to introduce the sound ordinance? And we will be putting up the one that Mr. Barr, just summarized for us as opposed to the one we have up right now.
I'll make that motion to introduce the ordinance 0-4/2020.
As summarized by Mr. Barr. Correct?
I'm sorry.
As
What did you say,
just
Mayor?
summarized by Mr. Barr.
As just summarized by our attorney, Mr. Barr.
Great. Is there a second? All right, is there any discussion?
Mayor,
Who
Yes.
seconded?
may
Oh.
I,
I'll second it.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Barr.
I think this should be known as version 5, what's today's date, the 13th? No, the 12th. Version 5, version number 2, 512, 2020. That distinguishes it in the nomenclature on the computers.
Okay, so, Councilmember Jackson, you accept that, change and including that in the version, the name?
Yes, he said it's version, and he put the date 5/12.
Yes.
Yes, I do accept that change as stated.
Okay, Councilmember Bowden, you accept that change? The second? Councilmember Bowden?
Oh, I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? I just want to say that with this introduction, I will be, at least if not tonight, but tomorrow, sending this introduction or referring a few people to our website so they can review and take a look at that and see that we're making some progress here. Anybody have any else to say? I will call for a vote.
Mayor, I just want to say, I know we had 2 residents, sit with us when we were trying to come through some things for the ordinance. I encourage the residents to please look at this. We're introducing it tonight, and if you have any questions or any concerns, just please email the mayor or your council person.
Yes. Thank you. And Mr. Barr, if you can get the version that you have to Chief Stone as soon as possible so he can replace the one that's on our website now with the newer one and copy the rest of us.
I certainly will.
All right. Thank you. I'll call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2,
Aye.
Ward 3,
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Okay, great. The mayor votes aye. Thank you, guys. Well, Mr. Baden, can you, schedule the hearing or whatever we need to do in order to put out for the hearing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that would be for, the same date as our regular town meeting in June. Okay, next item on the agenda, Mr. Baden, the CDBG.
Yeah, the only thing that I was asked to do subsequent to the work session was to ask the county what are they, what happens if we only elect a 1 or 2 year extension or opt into the CDBG program for 1 or 2 years. The response I got back is if your municipality chooses to participate with the county for only 1 or 2 years, the agreement would terminate on June 30th of the applicable year.
But the question was, can you go in then? Can you come
No,
back in?
in the beginning, you could either go in for 1, 2, or 3 years, and at the end of that 1, 2, or 3 years, that's all you're in for. If you're not in from the beginning, you can't come in, after.
So if you only go in for 1 year, you got 1 year, and you're gonna have to wait for them to go through the next 2 years before you can try to come back in again.
That's the way I understand the reply that I got.
Okay.
If it goes on, it says, upon submission to HUD, the final documents for this qualification period, if you're doing the 1 or 2 period, will reflect the exclusion of your municipality during the 3rd year of the period of qualification. So you got to go in 1, 2, or 3. If you only do 1 or 2, then the exclusion will take place in year 2 or year 3.
Okay, so I guess HUD only does these on 3-year rolling cycles, and whatever gets approved at the beginning of that the first year is what is in place for the whole 3 years. And they can't make alterations to that extent.
That's the way it sounds. Yep.
I mean, I can see that being the case. I mean, I can see if that's their set of rules. Well, I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, if we're gonna go off and try to do something different, it's probably gonna take us 3 years to do that. If the municipalities want to do something, it probably would take 3 years to put something like that together. So I'm in favor of going back in for the 3 years and going ahead and approving this. If there's a motion of interest.
I'm in favor also. This is Councilmember Jackson.
And that's a motion?
Yes, I'll make that motion,
Okay,
yes.
is there a second?
I'll second it. Councilmember Bowden.
Okay, I will call for any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Okay, Mayor votes aye. Okay, moving on, we talked about hazard pay last week, and and we said it would be completely contingent on the fact of what we found out about the funding that we would get from the county for COVID-19 as direct. And my understanding, and I didn't read all the details, but my understanding is that it is reimbursable. Is that right, Mr. Baton? That's what you see?
It's reimbursable for any employees that are working in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. So when we got employees going and dropping off food on people's porches, and we have them organizing food distributions, that's happening very specific to COVID-19 at this point in time, as well as a number of other activities. So we would have to, what I would ask, and we can go retroactive, it's needed, but I would ask if you can put together a set of suggestions on how we go about that. I mean, is it, we go on the timesheets and, they mark their timesheet to say, okay, during this time I was doing this activity, and we maybe establish some parameters as to what is those activities so it's clear. It's not that hard to go back because of the way we're working right now. To go back and say, okay, yeah, you were doing this during this period of time and we're going to pay this hazard pay. I think, but we have to establish the parameters of what that would be. Can you build us a template?
Yeah, I do not believe that there's anything in here to go retroactive back. I know it says that, costs incurred during the period that begins on March 1st. But if we didn't have a plan in place to compensate people, with a pay differential or hazardous pay provision, I do not see that you could go back if you didn't already have that in place. I agree that we could do it going forward, and, the timesheets would have to reflect it accordingly. And then the mayor and council are going to need to take action to determine what that compensation is, before we start paying it.
My challenge, and
I
I mean, and I,
disagree with that. I think I think we had a plan in place, for our staff as far as to keeping everybody healthy and they're coming out. We knew within our budget, we didn't have the funds as far as with the hazard pay, but since the county is offering us, I think we had a plan in place. I mean, we didn't know it was going to last this long, but it was there.
I think what Dan is saying is that we did not establish a hazard pay at the time of the beginning of the time. Now, I actually disagree with your perspective as well, Dan. And the reason why is whatever we're paying going forward, they already have told us we can go back. So if they can go back and we can take what we spent back, then we can assign what we're paying now to something that happened back. It's just like we pay people 2 weeks in arrears, so the fact that we can, and when we make the decision as to what it's going to be and what those criteria is going to be to determine when it is that the person was working, we can as a vote say that this is effective at this date, which is a date in the past. It's no different than giving a person their raise, 6 months after the period started. So I don't see us having a problem with making the payment. But if we need to validate it, we can validate that before, just to make sure. And if we have to just do it going forward, the best that we can do is take a vote tonight that we will be offering it forward from now, but we just don't know what the number is and the criterias are yet. And it'll be based on what the numbers are and the criteria. And we set today as the date forward. If we can't go back, we can at least do that, so that everything that happens from now, at least there's a voice vote.
Yeah, in the guidelines, it says costs incurred during the period that begins on March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30th, 2020. A cost is incurred when the responsible unit of government has expended funds to cover the cost. So if we didn't expend it back on March 1st, then how can you, and you didn't have a plan in place to pay people any additional amount back on March 1st, how can you go back and ask for something that wasn't expended during that time?
We would not be asking for it for that period of time. We would be asking for it for now, whatever we wind up paying them, which is the retroactive amount. It's when you expense it. It's not, it's when they said when the cost is expended, meaning spent. So even though for us, it would be retroactive to this period, to them, it's when we spend it, which would be some point in the future from now.
I'll ask for a clarification on that.
Okay, but so that we are planning to let it not go any further from today, I would recommend a vote by the council that we will be paying some form of hazard pay going forward once we've reviewed the recommendations by Mr. Biden. But from this date, we take a vote. If you guys are interested in us being able to assist our staff, at least from this day forward. And then if we find out we can do it more retroactively, then we could see if we can go back from March 1st to spend it. But if we keep going any further, they're continuing to work on mostly these things related to COVID-19 and not getting the hazard pay. And now we know the money is available for us to offer it to them.
I'll make that motion as stated. This is Councilmember Jackson.
Okay, there's a second.
I'll second it. Councilmember Bowden.
All right, any discussion? I will just say that even though our budgets have been super tight, I'm really happy that this money has become available. I have seen the staff adjust significantly to what is needed now. And we work on them coordinating from day to day because, you know, it was like challenging in the beginning because one person comes in, they don't know what happened the day before. So we have a short call on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at the end of the day for everybody to sort of say, okay, this happened to me this day and this happened to me, whatever. And coordinating the logistics of these distributions and I'm saying it's everybody. I mean, even, you know, you guys know what's going down on Ernie's Crab. So I asked Jerome, put in the work order, to put the lines on the
They're
sidewalk.
gonna be at my house pretty soon, man.
They are coming down there. And then at first, when Jerome went and put the lines down, he just put them down towards the driveway by the health center. And I said, no, Jerome, you're just not catching them when they're out there because they go all the way down the Newark Road, no doubt.
Yes, yeah. I don't blame them. Ernie's very clean and the crabs are good, so I don't blame them.
I said, where are people getting this money from? But you know, it was no problem, and we even put the lines on their sidewalk in front of the store because I called Bill Aaron Foster to find out it was okay for us to put the lines. They were so happy, Mike and them at the crab store, because they said they just haven't been able to control them. They were happy when we put the signs up, that just said distance 6 feet because they just don't feel the authority to control the people in their space. And
I mean, I think they open up on Sundays at 12, and people were out there like 10:30, like waiting for crabs. Like
I have seen them a few times standing out there before they open because they open like at 2 o'clock, I think, on some days, and people were out there like at 12:30 waiting. So, but anyway, I say that in the sense that, you know, everybody's just doing whatever is necessary to make these things work. And y'all should be very, very proud of the staff that you have. They have really been trying to make it happen and really trying to help people where they need help. So
I agree, Mayor. I am very proud of them of doing what they're doing in this time. That's why I stated in my report that I am, because I do hear back from residents. So I am very pleased.
Yeah, they're stepping up to the game. So I appreciate that. I'll call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Okay, Mayor votes aye. So, Mr. Baton, whatever we do will at least be effective today. And if you can, by our work session, kind of give us some guidance on what, you know, maybe look and see what some other folks are doing. In the meantime, I will be asking the staff, and just in case, I mean, so to to keep track close on times that they're doing something that's related to this, so that we have that data when it's needed.
All right, we also have to submit a formal plan by the 21st to Prince George's County on how we're going to spend the $89,000.
Now, this plan that we have to submit on the 22nd, do you have any idea how fluid they might allow us to be? Like, you know, you're kind of estimating what's going to be going forward, but things can change and you have to do different things. Was there, and I honestly I have not had the time to look at the documents close enough to see. And I know you got 5 towns, so you must have had to look at them to see what is the things that they're offering and not offering. Is there an opportunity to change the plan once you put one in?
I don't know the answer to that because they did not discuss that on the call. I would guess that there is. I mean, with most grant opportunities, you can usually adjust your grant 10% between major categories, but I think the overall goal, it's for expenses incurred due to the public health emergency. If there's something totally different than what you submitted, I would assume that you would submit something else, but as long as it is related to COVID-19 and combating it or doing preventive measures, that, that all falls within eligible expenses, and I don't know how they could say you can't. But there may be a revision to the original plan, but I think we should be okay in my mind.
Okay. If you come in low, I also had that question of like something else happens, like you don't think you're going to spend it all, but then something else happens and you really need it. I wonder if they just take it from you if you don't include it in your plan. What kind of conversations have you had with the other towns that you work for?
We're having one tomorrow morning at University Park. So I don't have theirs yet. Some of the items that I've taken notes on when I've just talked about it in general. Obviously, PPE. Scheduled cleanings, you don't have to do the cleanings yourself. You could have industrial companies come in and do your cleanings where they have, fogging machines and things like that. So, those would be more expensive than, us trying to get our crew to do those types of cleanings, and our crew could be doing other things. Laptops.
Yeah, I asked Mike to get some quotes on those already.
Yep. I would think things like, I don't know if we're incurring anything additional, but, are there additional costs with the way we're doing the elections? Did we have to re-advertise again, or, is there a, if we do electronic voting or, some other type of voting instead of in person, will that incur additional costs? Are there any laptops or, IT equipment that we need in order to telework? I think anyone who doesn't have a laptop that needs one, I think you could probably buy them one through this program.
Yeah.
Obviously, the hazard pay would be included. If one thing that you probably like, I actually saw this as a vendor had actually sent it to me, is it was Dell as a matter of fact, but it's a infrared camera that's hooked up to a laptop that takes the temperature of people who are coming in the building and comes up on a big screen. So as we start opening back up, if we have this basic, heat sensor camera, with the monitor and the computer and software and everything, that may be something, we would be interested in. I imagine it's probably a pricey item, probably 10 grand or more is my guess, but, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that would be really important because I mean, I think the world is going to be going that way, seriously, in order for us to open up, is to have those kind of things in place just to keep people safe, because until there's a vaccine, we want to open up. We have to have some really good protocols to protect people. I like that. You're right. Okay, well, it's a short, they're giving us a short leash to come up with what those numbers might be. What is that, the 22nd, that's 10 days from now?
Yep.
Oh, boy, and it's so busy.
Yeah, I'll see what they come up with at University Park. I mean, there's things for you can do disinfecting of your playgrounds, but Mike actually reached out to some companies today and Mike asked them how good is the disinfectant for, and he said until the first kid goes down your slide or gets on your equipment, because if that person's contaminated, the next person that come after them can contract it. So.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's like Donald Trump saying, oh, why are we bothering to test? Because she tests negative today and now we'll come in and she tests positive. Well, if you didn't know she was positive, then, you would still have her in your environment. So it kind of is really important.
Mayor, it's John
Yeah.
Barr speaking.
Go ahead.
I think we should also cram onto this everything that we weren't able to stick in the proposal that was previously discussed. Plus, anything that you've spent to date, whether it is on disinfectant equipment coming into town hall, whether it is disinfectant equipment within town hall. Mr. Baden's proposal for a temperature check is an excellent an idea for the future, because this type of situation is going to be here with us, I think, for a very long time.
Oh, yes, we're going to have to do a lot of adopting to different ways of doing things. And that's the reason why I even asked about whether or not we would be able to retroactively make changes if we didn't go in like for the whole amount, because as time evolves in, whether it's a restaurant or us or whatever, and when we start to try to figure out really how to navigate this, there are going to probably be new opportunities of things that come available to help you do that.
Well, also, you would include all of the efforts the town has made to date to aid residents of the town in this situation, whether it's food supplies, whether we are going to have policing of distancing and therefore more police on the street. Whatever it's going to be, that would fit into this particular amount of money. Yeah.
And it can also be things like, okay, if we want to open up for home rentals, but we need to, keep people separated. We may need certain kind of separators for our chairs, or we might need to have 2 watchers in order to be in control of what's going on, or we might have to have a police on even when there's no alcohol. It's out of the box thinking about how this COVID-19 is impacting us. And those are the kind of things, if I need an extra watcher, my renter is not going to be able to afford that extra watcher, but this will allow us to get through this period while this is going on and
Yes,
still
ma'am.
help us bring back our revenue. So,
I think this is going to require a lot of outside the box thinking.
Yeah. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
you see what happens over there. If we need to have a quick call with the council members, maybe we can just call a quick conference call to settle on anything. If you guys think of anything, send it to me and or Dan so that, because we got to get this thing out. And I'd rather, somebody's offering you 89,000. I'd rather have an opportunity to get $89,000. But I want it to be, smart money, things that really, something that's going to make a difference. And we got to fit that list. This is a really specific list. Can you send it to everybody, Dan, all the council members?
Yes, I was going to say, please send me the list.
I'll send you the entire packet, but what you want to look at is attachment 1. That is the only one that is the main page that spells out what are eligible expenses and what are not, and, kind of the box you need to fit into. I'll just forward the entire package in case you'll want to see anything else, but attachment 1 is what you need to look at, and I'll put that in the email.
Okay.
Please, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, and so let's just make sure, Dan, you and I at least plan to have a call, I guess maybe by Friday, just to see what you've put together, what you've heard from your other towns, and then whatever thoughts that I've put together.
Okay.
Any particular time that works for you?
Let me check. No, I'm pretty good most of the day.
All right, so the afternoon sometime, of course, that's what I would say. Let's just put down for 1 p.m. and then see what happens from there.
Okay.
All right, cool, thank you. All right, so we dealt with that. So police computer purchase. Chief?
I'm not sure if that, I don't know if he's picking up. I don't know if he's hearing you, but we had talked about purchase of the computers at the last meeting, and I don't know if that's on there for transfer of funds, but that is already included in the budget adjustments that I have. And, if you all, I guess maybe you need to do that separately because it's over $1,500 or over $500. So maybe it's a motion to purchase. We agreed at the meeting last week that, we were going to go forward with the 4 computers and we were going to do it in fiscal year 20. So I guess a motion to approve the purchase of 4 computers for the police would be in line. And then under budget adjustments, if you approve all the budget adjustments presented, that would put the money in the proper place.
So should we do the budget adjustments first and then vote to make the purchase?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
thought we
what
voted already to
Chief
make the
said,
purchase.
Chief said that we agreed to do it, but we did not vote on the purchase. So we agreed to put it in the budget.
Budget, okay, got you. Okay,
But we never made a
I follow.
vote for him to actually
Okay.
make the purchase.
And I'm off mute now, so you can probably hear me. But we originally came up at a budget work session, not a regular work session or a council meeting. And I was supposed to bring it up at the last work session to formalize it, but didn't do that. So here it is tonight.
Oh, that's right, because we couldn't do the vote in the budget meeting. We had to do it in the work
Right.
session, and that would have been last
Exactly.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to budget adjustments and see what's going on here. Mr. Baden?
All right. Let me see if I've got this up. Hold on 1 second. Let me mute out of here. I don't know if I've got this one.
Well, I got it up, so I guess I can go back and put it on my screen because I had it.
Actually, yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
I just need to share the screen. Share screen. There we go. Right, so this is in the packet, so if anyone needs to follow along there. So basically, when we prepared the budget, we came up with some projected figures for revenue and expenses, and we really haven't done any major budget adjustments during the year. We've done a few items here, a few items there. So what this proposal does is it this format shows the first three columns from the budget that we're working off of, but instead of having the fiscal year 21 budget, I took that column out and called it budget adjustments. So on the revenue side, what I'm showing is that the senior van income, based on the repairs and the sharing of costs from other jurisdictions, increase the revenue from the other jurisdictions by 12 grand. So that's an additional revenue source. Also, we received the MEA lighting grant, but we had never budgeted any budget for that. So put that 20,108 in for the MEA grant. So your total revenue increase is 32,108. And then the expenditures, what I did is I tried to cover the expenditures within the major departments. And when I couldn't, I took a little bit from some of the other departments. So as you go down through here, the first item is 5010, accounting and auditing. It's projected $500 additional. 5082, Colmar Manor Day, needs $161. Community garden, nothing was ever budgeted. We paid out money for that. Need $2,000. Dues and subscriptions, an additional $10. Legal counsel, an additional $1,000. That's mainly related to a lawsuit. The MEA grant lighting, 20,108. We didn't budget for that grant expenditures. We have the revenue up in the revenue part, so this is the other half of that for the expenditures. Salaries for general government, 9,580. We had brought on an additional person full time during the year. We've got Christian working extra hours. So that additional cost is 9,580. The senior events was we paid more out than what we budgeted because we got additional funds for that from Breeze. So the total general government budget increase is 33,962. When you get under the payroll taxes and benefits, we're taking 21,000 from the health insurance to help cover the general government overages. And on the senior van, there's an additional 14,290. Majority of that under the expenditures, but we recouped 12,000 of that under the revenue to cover that, because this is mainly related to those major repairs that we had during the year. Code enforcement shared expenditures are 3,100. Public Works, you have some smaller amounts for gasoline, auto insurance, maintenance expense, $1,000 for our share of the deductible on the Monroe Park, $200 for the mosquito. We're covering the majority of that from the electric savings from the community center. There's also additional cable TV and insurance costs that we have to cover. And under public safety, you can see, some shortfalls. And well, here we have the computer purchase, which is the under 5907. Backgrounds and training, because of the new officers that we're hiring, that was more than anticipated. Light cameras, more than anticipated. And so the majority of the shortfall there gets paid out of the salary and payroll tax and benefits, so we're reducing those down. Health insurance, I don't know why, still can't figure out why it wasn't budgeted here. I mean, it was probably included under salaries or somewhere else, but, budget purposes, we need 4,067. Under recreation, we have additional salaries that were needed and taking that from the rental expense line item. So when you offset all the expenses, overages and where we're taking it from, you come to 32,108 additional that's needed, which was being taken from the revenue side. So we were adding 32,000 in revenue to cover the 32,108 in expense, and all the other overages are covered within departments or within other line items of the budget. So
Okay.
that's a quick overview.
Is there a motion to accept these budget adjustments for FY 2020?
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make a motion to accept these budget adjustments for fiscal year 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Mendoza? I'll call for, is there any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. So, that motion is passed, Mr. Baton.
All right, then we would need to go back to the police computer purchase and approve the purchase of the 4 computers at a cost of up to $6,000. Is that still a good price, Tracy?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so is there a motion to move forward with the purchase of the police computers up to $6,000? How many computers is this? 3?
4.
4 with installation.
4 computers and installation up to $6,000.
This is Councilmember Jackson. I'll make that motion as stated.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Councilmember Mendoza. I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes, now we'll have up-to-date computers.
Yes, and soon people to use them. Okay, I'll call for a vote. Ward 1 is absent. Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. All right, thank you so much. That's good. Okay, so moving on for community reports. As a senior report, I believe, what's happening with our seniors is, what Councilmember Jackson had just mentioned. I put Renee on it, and she's been all over it. And so, and we've taken the masks too as needed, and for those who do want to come out, Chief Stone has been doing, deliveries along with Jerome, Mike, and everybody. And so we have stayed very connected to them. And even those who she couldn't reach, and Chief Stone went out and did a wellness check to see why wasn't she able to be getting with them. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to report on the seniors. Okay, moving on, Garden Club, I believe, Ms. Epps is on this call. Or are you
Yes, I'm
not?
on here. I'm here.
Okay, great. What's going on with the garden?
Can you- Hello?
I hear you.
Okay,
can hear
I'll
you.
say. Okay, first of all, I want to thank the mayor and council for funding the garden club for the fiscal year 2021. I asked Mike, could I use the generator next week sometime? Hopefully it's nice to finish up the tables in the east garden. I've been working on the tables in the east garden. I've been refurbishing them. I want to thank Mike. I'm sorry. I want to thank Kirk, Julianne, Maya, Monica, and her husband Juan for helping out in the West Garden. We went in and we cleared up all the beds. Kirk built an extension to our compost because we had so much weed in the bed that we had to expand our compost, which was great. The West Garden is beautiful right now. I just really enjoy working in the West Garden. I talked to Chief Stone about burning the boards that we have in the rear of the East Garden, and he said that was fine as long as we there and we have something built around it to control the fire. And I talked to Mike and Jerome so they would alert the neighbors if and when we decided to do it, because all this rain we didn't get it. We haven't had a chance to burn the wood yet. We still have 3 plots left in the West Garden. If you're interested, please let me know. I have to assign you the plots. You can't just go out there and plant. I had someone to go out there and plant, and I told them that it's no longer available. That plot they had last year, and you cannot just decide you want to go and use the same plot you had last year, unless you've been with us since the garden started. But if you just started out, you probably won't get the same plot. Only the older ones still have their same plot. At the last garden club, we did a meeting by way of Zoom, thanks to Monica, which worked out perfectly. I was so excited about that. We had 2 callers and I think 4 face, videos, so that was very exciting to have. And our next one will also be by way of Zoom or Microsoft Teams, whatever we decide to do. And I want to congratulate the town on the census. I was looking at it, and we're like 66.8%, like number 36 on in the state of Maryland. So I'm very excited about that. I've been keeping track of that. And that's it. That's my report.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm real excited about them too. I go and I pull the list every day to take a look and see where we're going. Every day we notched up. Last week, we went up 3.5 points in 2 days.
Yes, I saw
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So the yard signs are here, and so we'll probably be delivering them tomorrow. If we get the spikes, because the spikes didn't, or the H-shaped things didn't come today, that comes tomorrow. So if it comes early enough, we'll get them out tomorrow so people can start seeing the signs. I'm hoping that'll, cause other people to do a little bit more. I do think, I put out the surveys in Latino, in Spanish and English. I mean, but a lot of the names still sound like Spanish names, even though they filled out the English form. Because I didn't get a lot of people who filled out the Spanish form. But we're still on it. We're still on it. We're going to get up there.
Okay.
Excited. Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
We still want to move forward, as far as I know, on the beautification of the yard. So I talked to the garden club members. They were excited about it, but we'll see, because I probably need to rethink this, because we want outsiders to come in to judge. We don't want anyone from town to judge. And I don't know how that's going to play right now. I haven't thought that through yet now because of this pandemic we're in. So We'll see. I really want to go ahead and move forward into doing this year, but we have to wait and see.
Yeah, what they're going to plan to do. Oh, by the way, the triangle is absolutely beautiful.
Yes, Councilman Jackson sent me a picture. Yeah.
Yes, I sent it to everyone.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
proud of
Yes, really nice. It really brightens up the town. And I don't know if you guys noticed it, but somebody wrote in chalk on the, you know, that, I don't know if it's a retaining wall or whatever, but it's the Great
Yes, I
Wall.
saw that. I saw that.
It
That was
said,
beautiful.
beautiful, Happy Mother's Day all across the wall.
That was beautiful.
No, I didn't see that. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you got to go out because it's so cool. I mean, I was driving down Bladensburg Road and saw it because it goes across that whole Great Wall.
Really big.
And I
really
thought,
big.
oh, that is so cool.
Uh-huh.
So
that made my day when I saw it. So, yeah.
it did. It made my day. It really did. I'm like, you know what? There's some jerky people around in this world, but there are so many people that just care. So that was real nice. All right. Do we have any green team report?
No, we don't have a green team report because we haven't been meeting, and that's due to my fault because I've been so overwhelmed with my day job. But I will be sending out most municipal online storm water training center. They send me courses and stuff that I'm going to send out to the green team to see if there's something that some people are home if they want to take the course, and then we can talk about it online. And also I'm looking for someone to like take the lead as far as with the green team going forward. So that's my report. I just want to say thank you, Dorita, one, for hanging on the line with us for so long, and also how excited you are with the garden, you and Julianne and Kurt and everybody else that really takes their time out and try to beautify the town. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I live in this town too, and I love this town, so that's why I work so hard to try to keep it looking nice as much as possible.
Yeah, we appreciate it so much. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I really think that's a great idea. The most training, especially in this in-between time where it's hard to do, you know, more active things, is to actually have the most, making that a part of what you meet about is what got learned in that most every session, you know, go through a session and then just everybody come on and talk about it. Webex is really good, by the way. I guess it's practically, and it's probably as good as Zoom. And the state said Zoom has a whole lot of security issues, and they're not letting them use it in the state anymore. But if you're setting something up, what else was I going to say about the green team? Okay, but yeah, I think that's a good idea, way to keep everybody active in the middle of all of this.
I don't want to
Okay,
lose my green team members.
that's right. We don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
We just don't want to lose them. And you don't have regular meetings. It's so easy for it to move away quickly.
Absolutely.
So with recreation, so with everything canceled, I think it's time for us to start to think outside of the box, you know. Everything that we were talking about doing at that last recreation meeting, which was such a good meeting. We were all planning, we're going to do all these things, but a lot of them that we can still do. I mean, like if people want to, let's just say with children, if we were able to get the children to come on like a WebEx, Zoom, whatever it is that everybody wants to use, but and see each other, and maybe have maybe we do some sort of arts and craft where we find some packaging that we can send to all of them, and then they all build up something at the same time while they're watching each other build it. I mean, the rec council has to get back together and Councilmember Bowden, I mean, can you reach out to Reese and see if you guys can actually establish a call like Garden Club is doing? And Monica might do it because Monica's really involved too. I mean, really interested in coming up with interesting things. But just
I
like,
think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Because kids are bored and they need stuff to do, and some adults too. So I think that's a great idea, doing some type of activity over the Zoom or webcam or something.
yeah, they can see each other,
Yeah. Also, in line with the recreation, I was thinking we don't have Zumba anymore. I don't know if there's any way that we can have our Zumba instruction do a lesson and record it. We could put it on our television. I mean, just air it like probably once a week saying, hey, we want to do Zumba with our Zumba instructor because people need to exercise. That's a good idea also. And then we have somebody they're familiar with, especially our regular Zumba participants.
Yeah, you know what? But you know what else we could do? We could mark out 6-foot distances, like on a street, and then we block off the street. And everybody just stay on their 6-foot lines. I mean, we've gotten into this marking off stuff these days, and people could actually do it outside while they're around other people, but 6 feet away. Because one thing I'll tell you about these lines, when you draw these lines, the people stand on them. And if you try to get them to social distance by their own thought, they're all over the place. But once you draw them lines, they stay on it. But I mean, that's just a thought. I mean, we could do both, do the video so people have something, but also try to get people outside in the environment together too, where there's, we don't have to get used to it. We're gonna have to figure it out anyway.
Yeah, the indications are with the, governor easing restrictions probably the end of this week. That's one of the things that they're going to allow health and fitness clubs to do outdoor classes. So, that would follow right along that area.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, let's see if we got some interest out there. But I mean, and if we didn't want to block off a street, we could do it in the parking lot up in the ball fields. Have everybody come up, just say this is where it's going to be, and we mark everything off. I mean, as long as Park Lane don't get mad at us, but they might be okay with that. All right. Any other thoughts? But at the end of the day, we do need our rec council to get back together and meet, at least. And I'll talk to Renee about it too. Just at least having a meeting. She's not that crazy about technology. Her son bought her a new phone and she's having a fit. He bought her a really nice phone and she said she got mad at him. Why are you buying me this phone? But I think nowadays right now we're kind of stuck in this kind of way of communicating with each other. So she'll get used to the phone, I'm sure. Okay, is PGCMA doing anything? Did they actually have the election?
So they've gotten nominees out, but there's a meeting this week. So I don't know really what I'll find out this week, because this is, with this pandemic, everything is just up in the air. I know we need to have an election. They don't want to just have them they don't want just at a standstill.
Yeah, right.
So we're supposed to have virtual meeting this week.
Okay, all right. Well, shoot an email out to say what their plans are going forward. I mean, I know everybody doesn't want to lose contact with each other in groups and things like that. But everybody's so busy. I mean, I really am too busy trying to figure things out, and not being able to work, which is really, problematic for me. And the doggone system that they built for the independent contractors or whatever. I don't know what they were thinking when they put this thing together. It doesn't work for an independent contractor. It still tries to work like you're an employee. It still tries to make you like you're an employee somewhere when you're not. So, I've been very frustrated with that and don't know which way that's going to go. But it's no time even to work. But with that said, any other business that we need to discuss?
I'm good.
I do want to mention that at a minimum, we should be talking about how we're going to do elections. One of the things that I'm really very concerned about, and I'm going to throw this out here because there's a lot of pieces to this. When the governor lifts the state of emergency, I believe that there could possibly be a crash. Number one, because of people can't get kicked out during the state of emergency for their rents, but then all of a sudden the emergency ends, unless they put a plan together that's clear. Like, okay, the emergency is going to end, but you still can't do any of these things until blah, because there's going to be utility bills suddenly due, where they want to come and cut you off if you don't pay it. There's going to be mortgages, there's going to be rent, there's going to be all this stuff that's going to happen that people aren't thinking about right now because they don't have to worry about that. They have all these other things to worry about, and it's just all going to come due. Well, I feel the same way about our election, that, based on what we put in place, when it comes due, the cycle will start real fast, in terms of getting the information out. How are we doing the election? What's going to be our process? Are we going to do mail-in voting? Are we going to do something electronic? I mean, do we know somebody who can build something that can be secure electronically? Because that's above my pay grade, even though, I'm a tech person, but that would take us like hiring a real company or seeing if there's some things out there already. My biggest problem that I have with mail-in voting, and I just think it's wrong, is that my ID and my vote are in the same envelope. And I'm supposed to be able to vote anonymously. That is part of what voting is supposed to be in public. And I don't know how people are thinking that this is okay, that my ID and my vote should be known together, who I voted for. I mean, sometimes you just really don't want people to know who you voted for. And now, the way that this Maryland is happening right now, people are going to be easily see who you're voting for. At least the election judges, and that's not right. So I don't know why they think it's okay. But anyway, we need to be talking about how we want to do this election at a minimum at the next work session. That's my thoughts. I will leave on the table. Well, I thank you all so much. There's a lot of stuff on this agenda to deal with, so I appreciate your patience in getting through it. But we did. And so, time to go. And anybody have anything else to say? Or you got a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn. This is Councilmember Jackson.
Okay, all I have to say is all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The meeting now is adjourned. Y'all have a
All right,
good
good
evening.
night.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
Good night. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.